Welcome to Slow News Day. I'm Steve Poikinen.
And I'm Sarah Hall.
We are here highlighting artists, activists, organizers, and agitators who are pushing back against late-stage capitalism here in the heart of the empire. Joining us today, we are thrilled for this. This is awesome. It's right after Christmas, and so it's a treat. We have comedian, fucking just feature at the regular at the Comedy Store down in LA. He is the host of Tinfoil Hat podcast, and he also co-hosts Punch Drunk Sports. He's got two specials out right now, Armageddon and Zero Fucks, on Vimeo, and he will be in White Plains, New Jersey at TIFF's on January 19th. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, the legendary Sam Tripoli. Sam, thank you for being on today.
Thanks for having me on. Greatly appreciate. Thanks for the kind words and the promo. I have to apologize earlier. I'm watching a friend's dog. I got my dog. There could be some bark in the background, so
sure,
my
man.
Apologies. But I really do appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
Yeah. Like I was telling you right before we started, I found out about Tinfoil Hat because you were on Jimmy Dore's show, who I've been a fan of his work now for a number of years.
Yeah, doing the Lord's work. The guy is doing the Lord's work, and it's very impressive what he's done and the empire he's been able to build, and how hard he fights to get truth out there and fight brainwashing.
Staying true to himself and the cause, and turning down a contract with probably a couple now at this point.
Yeah, he walked away from
that RT News offered him something, which, I know people flip out how Russian. I love what RT's doing.
Oh yeah.
Until I hear something that doesn't click with what I believe is really going on, I'm gonna look to them as a news source, a legitimate news source. This Russian scare that goes all the way back to the Khazarians and the Khazarian mafia and all that way back in the day, and this Russian scare, similar to that they use like North Korea and all these other countries to get us to crank up our defense spending. So this hatred of Russia is just ridiculous. I'd rather hear RT News and the BBC or the CNN and all that other stuff. And
sure.
So I know he turned that down, and that shows you, how powerful his dojo is right now.
It is, and we've had Ron Placone on the show, and we had Graham Elwood on, and his crew is just, his entire crew does amazing work. They're true independent media in a world of just compacted corporate shit, and it's so important what they do, and the fucking mainstream media is using McCarthy era red baiting talking points to describe a capitalist country in 2018 that while it has imperialistic objectives, there's still capitalistic objectives, and they're trying to make it so that like Putin is still a KGB fucking mastermind. It's insane. It really is.
I wouldn't look to Putin as this moral high ground either.
Right.
They're all like kind of working in the same atmosphere, in the same level, and there's it's just the be at that level, you got to do some dark shit, and not that I'm forgiving it at all, but the notion that anybody's worse than anybody when you work in that level is kind of laughable. This has all been Operation Monarch since the beginning. Radio, television was all created in order to be able to get the message out and to control the masses. So the thing is that those mediums, television, radio, are doing what they were meant to do. Now the internet has changed the game, and it's like it's gotten out of hand. It's blood out of the water. Now they could easily shut it down and just be like total control, but that destroys the myth that there's this freedom and there's this movement, and they have to keep that going in order to keep what they have going. This operation, which is total control, we buy into this capitalist thing, where they use our military as stormtroopers to go around the world and kick in doors and terrorize brown people and stealing all their natural resources. That is the facade that must be kept up. The minute it bucks, the whole system crashes. So they can't just go in there and lock down everything. They just can't do it, because then the facade disappears.
Right.
So it's like, it's an interesting time to be alive. The internet is blood in the water. You can't get it out now. It's like they created this monster and they're scrambling to control it. Now they're doing all this internet censorship, and they're playing it as, because what they always do is they set the table as R's versus D's, Republicans, Democrats, whatever it is, Vegas shooting, they set the table, and then we in the truth community must work from that to find the truth, and that's what we're up against, is that their version of everything. So they've set it as, you know, Republicans are being censored, and it's not Republicans, because Ben Shapiro openly fucking, nobody's ever taken his shit down. It's all the truth community. They are taking down the truth community, but painting it as Republicans, and it's not. It's all truth. Sam Harris is taking his own Patreon down.
Yeah.
And that dude's fucking chill.
I mean, what percentage of his income was that Patreon, though? Like, is that a more symbolic gesture than?
Rich as shit, dude.
Yeah, so he's comfortable. He's in a position where he could do that. Where, you know, like we're in the process of building our audience to the point to where we could justify one. And if that becomes the case, then, you know, we're stuck in that platform.
You should do a Patreon, and supposedly a new one's about to up. People have sent me different things. Do both of them.
And that's the one that Sam Harris has started, right?
Well, I don't trust Sam Harris.
But
I don't have any desire to be on anything that he runs.
But my understanding about the new platform was that it was created by a couple of those guys who had been booted from Patreon.
Jordan Peterson, and I like Jordan Peterson. There's a lot coming out. He's done a lot of stuff with some shady organizations that are coming out. It's very interesting that there's been this big push against him.
This is how I feel about Jordan Peterson. And I don't know. I mean, it's probably just uniquely my perspective, but I already had a cool dad. He disappeared. Here we go. I already had a cool dad, and he told me to clean my room, and sometimes I listened, sometimes I didn't, but at no point was my dad's perspective that of an intellectual who had no actual first-hand experience of living through the shit that human life can be.
He was articulate on expressing the views of the disenfranchised white guy, which is totally a valid thing and very necessary. The demonization of all white guys as acceptable is ridiculous, and all it does is militarize white guys, and that's not a good thing.
I don't disagree with that. My point is that for all of the bricks thrown at intellectuals within what is perceived as the left, the right has their own ivory tower set that somehow gets like a hall pass for not having real world experience, but only having these intellectual theoretical conversations about a subject.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I mean, like I've said, that the big problem we're having right now are trust fund kids are hijacking movements and are verbal, especially in Hollywood, they are verbalizing the temperature of the room, they are the voice of pop culture. Taking this David Hogg kid whose father was FBI, sold a giant company that made nothing for $300 million. And his father worked in arms sales and weaponry, and his grandfather created MasterCard.
Wasn't one of his grandfathers a Fed too? Like, I'd read a few different places that he was third generation.
This guy is as elite as it gets and deep state as it gets, and it just comes out that now he got into Harvard when he couldn't even get to Cal, to fucking USC or UCLA. I mean, dude, the guy got turned down by 15 schools, and now he got into Harvard. I mean, literally, he will be the dumbest person at Harvard. That is a crazy,
I saw that.
Crazy thought.
Well,
and if you don't know that's something, then, I mean, I don't know what to do for you.
Yeah, and then you find, I mean, this happens kind of across the board, where, like, people used to make fun of George Bush for being a C student at Yale, and then you find out that John Kerry, the guy who was running against him, was also a C and D student at Yale. And, like, they're fucking legacy bullshit. The legacy kids are the only thing that is keeping Harvard any kind of white right now. Like, they're just overwhelmingly Asian. There was a thing where Harvard has to do, like, or Ivy League schools in general have to do this kind of, like, reverse affirmative action thing, and they're got in trouble for turning down Asian kids who had high enough grades because they wanted to be able to get the legacy kids in, or get the, shit like that. Like, that's where our education...
Dirty.
Yeah,
so it's...
I mean, but it's just like, I mean, if you don't think something's up with that, I mean, we can go through, like, the Emmys. I've said this before. This year's Emmys was just a giant, no, what's the daytime acting? Is it Emmys? Is it daytime acting awards?
Emmys are music,
Oscars,
right? Emmys are music.
Yes, Emmys. Was just a giant trust fund circle jerk. It was just little trust fund kid getting awards for being trust fund kids. With the exception of Tiffany Haddish, who's a very good friend of mine and couldn't be happier for her success. I mean, one of the great success stories, if there is one in Hollywood. Outside that, it was trust fund kids, circle jerking trust fund kids. It's like Georgetown, Harvard, Yale, all these Ivy League schools were just, that's where these kids are from. And it's just, and they're setting the narrative of Me Too, gun control, racism, when their parents fully participated in everything they're railing against.
That actually is a perfect segue into our segment, Why Is This Bullshit? Trust fund kids running the world. I don't know if you saw that Senate race between Ted Cruz and Beto O'Rourke down in Texas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the way that Beto O'Rourke is being, like, turned into some sort, they're calling him the white Obama, which to me is funny for a few reasons, because you gotta wonder if that means he's gonna go bomb 7 new countries, or if he's gonna keep bombing the same 7,
sure.
Or
Obama's mother was CIA.
I have heard that from a handful of different people that I would trust. Yeah.
All of Obama's records from his college, his law practices, everything is sealed. He was actually disbarred from in Illinois due to some procedural stuff. He disbarred himself before they could actually do it. And Michelle Obama.
And then went and taught constitutional law. Yes.
All of his school records are sealed. And here's my whole thing about Beto. I must say, don't trust good-looking fucking liberals, dude. That's what I've learned. Really attractive liberals are up to no good. The fact that they're all trust fund kids, and they're talking about this disenfranchised group and that disenfranchised group. The really scary thing, and I'm probably going to lose all your listeners at this point, but
go for it.
The really scary thing is how accurate the Unabomber's manifesto is. Like, if you actually read that shit, he talks about all this shit, about how rich, middle class, and elite class children are going to be pushing the political correctness, pushing policies, and they actually feel all these groups that they champion. It's not because they care about them. It's because they actually look down on them and feel bad for them. It's the whole movement of when, like, the whole left was like, you can't have voter ID stuff because the black community can't get on the internet and doesn't have fucking IDs. And then they went and they interviewed people, black people, and they're like, I got an ID and I have internet on my phone. It's this actual notion of looking down on these people. And I'm an old school liberal, dog. You put me in a room with liberals, we're gonna probably agree on everything except for a couple little things, which is gun control and white guys are evil. That's probably where it's gonna fucking end, you know. But I'm really open. I mean, I want to live in a world where everybody can be themselves and they just do you. And like, you know, there's nothing more like, you know, from the right, like, don't tread on me. Well, there's nothing more don't tread on me than letting two gay guys get married, or a dude who wants to dress like a woman live as a woman. Like that there's nothing more don't tread on me than that. So I open my mind. As long as you're not hurting or stealing or hurting children, I say you go do whatever the fuck you want to do. That's really my opinion. But when it comes to what's going on right now, this weapon, I don't know if they're called progressives or they're called liberals. I'm trying to get what that is. But whatever the whiny shit is, I am not that. I'm the other one, which is, you know, make love, make art, talk shit, fight the power, demand change, love thy fellow brother and sister, and trans, whatever you want to call it, love it. That's what I am. I am not this new breed who goes to Berkeley and just every day, I mean, they're ruining their best party and sex years of their life. They'll never get that back. They're protesting in their Gucci fucking shoes, and they're fucking burning shit down when they should be drinking and screwing and just ruining their credit. That's the time you do that.
Right.
So,
well, I couldn't agree more with you on that, and I'm here to help you in terms of like who we can fucking pin this bullshit on, because it bothers me. Like I'm far left. Like I'm in the heads on pikes and general strikes or nothing fucking changes category of where we're at.
I understand that too.
You know,
totally, I have no problem with that.
And it was a progression to there, but I started out like as a teenager eating clean LSD and listening to Art Bell on the radio, and like I was a little ahead of the curve, like in the early 90s, as far as my peer group went, in terms of not trusting the system and of understanding that like there were strings being pulled that we didn't know who the hands were, you know, that kind of thing. So when I'm looking in terms of like who's progressive and who's liberal, in my mind, liberals the way they are right now are 1990s Republicans. Like there's and even like classic liberals going back to the 70s. That's where we started to see the Law and Order push, LBJ cracking the skulls of protesters at the convention, you know, shit like that, like shutting shit down in terms of Democratic presidents and union bosses and party bosses. They fuck over George McGovern, and that's where you see the early formation of these neoliberals.
Yeah, and you also see that is the beginning of the beginning of the CIA controlled opposition of the hippie movement. You know, I mean, they basically created acid. They did it through, and they used the Grateful Dead to tour and dispute just distribution of acid everywhere.
That worked too.
Acid was everywhere. All those bands, whether it's the Doors, I mean, the Grateful Dead were the house band of the CIA's acid cooker.
Yeah, you don't know what a bummer it was for me to realize that.
You know, and then you just look at Jim Morrison and that whole Laurel Canyon studio. They were all military brats. You'd be amazed at how many famous people are military brats, which again goes into trust fund stuff, that these people are very high up. They grew up around the sale and the push of a war and arms, that they don't see that as something wrong. That's how they just grew up. So it doesn't seem, so they don't get it, man. You know, they see us being part of the military industrial complexes like that's their childhood, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's not a big railroad around that. So, I mean, God bless the CIA, the controlled opposition of everything. I mean, Jonestown, that was fucking most likely a CIA op. So it's like we're just looking at this like, I mean, it is everywhere. Project Monarch, MK Ultra, these are all things that are controlled opposition through the establishment.
So we have a theory that starting from the Kennedy assassination, running through right now, the CIA has been running pretty much all of it, and it was the Bush family. Like George Bush was 100% instrumental in John F. Kennedy's death, if not Robert F. Kennedy's death. Tried to kill Ted Kennedy, probably killed Bobby Kennedy. Like, and then he goes from
Bushes.
Yeah, he goes from director of CIA straight into the White House.
Yeah.
As the guy running the show for Ronald Reagan, who was just a fucking puppet, dude.
And then he tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan. The Hinckleys actually had dinner with the Bushes the night before the assassination. I mean, you're looking at a guy who has basically gotten out of jail after trying to assassinate, gotten out of a psych ward. The Bushes met with the Bin Ladens the day before 9/11. I mean, you look at the Bushes. I mean, think about this. Prescott Bush was found guilty of conspiring with the Nazis.
Yeah.
So because he's basically along with the Rothschilds, and you want to go deep on some shit, Hitler was a Rothschild. Okay.
I have heard that put forward on your show. Was that Freeman Fly?
Well, no. The guy who's done a lot of research into it is what the fuck is his name, man? Fuck, I'm spacing on his name right now. But James Corbett is. There's not a lot of guys I will take for like whatever they say is gospel. He is as close to that as you will get. You know, he's this Canadian English teacher in Japan who just goes hard into research, and he's basically broken down that Hitler was the bastard grandson of Baron Rothschild. So then you start going, if all the international bankers are supporting the Nazis because they work with both, then the Nazis were controlled opposition. And that's what this all comes down to. And that Kennedy was killed for a couple reasons. Fed, trying to get rid of the Fed, break up the CIA, and also he wanted to de-arm Israel's nuclear program. And that was a big thing on that as well. So, you know, he was dancing with the devil. That was the first time that the deep state said, we're going to do. I mean, they've done other stuff behind the scenes. The 1913 Fed Act, where they basically gave us a Federal Reserve, and on top of that, personal income. So, I mean, those are real things that happened. But that was the first time they let everybody know that something else is going on.
And it was, I mean, it didn't stop. Like, once they got Kennedy and nobody really did anything, it was kind of like open season for public assassinations there for a number of years. Shit just...
I mean, it was it's if it wasn't so tragic, it would be laughable. People's relate. And now you have this whole thing with Trump wanting to pull out of Syria, and, you know, like, I trust Trump as far as I can kick him. Like, and that's every president I've known. I don't trust any of them. I root for them because they are the president. This, like, super bashing of the president compared to how they treated former presidents is laughable. But the pulling out of Syria, and with the mainstream media basically going, this could cause another 9/11, which when you start really looking into it, isn't a warning, but a threat that they're going to fucking do something like that. And that is 100. John Tapper got fucking schooled on his own show by fucking Rand Paul, who basically said that, dude, we've been funding, arming, and training ISIS. Yeah. And this is the guy who tweeted that ISIS, and this is Tapper who tweeted that if we pull out Syria, fucking ISIS is going to come back and be strong. Well, anybody who's ever done any studying knows that Benghazi was all about Christopher Stevens being taken out because he knew that Obama was funding, training, and arming ISIS. So anybody who thinks that ISIS is coming back, if you think I'm full of shit, look at the fact that ISIS is only in all of our enemies' countries. They're not in one single fucking allied country. They actually apologized to Israel for fucking accidentally attacking them. ISIS apologized to Israel.
Yeah.
What does that fucking mean? So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a crazy dance we dance.
You're not fucking kidding, man. We've been our CIA has been doing dark shit since their creation, but like the shit that we're doing now, I have a friend that I grew up with whose brother was active duty special forces for a number of years, and we've had a black ops presence in Iran since we started our second Gulf War. Like, have never left. There's still that video of General Wesley Clark where he names off the countries that we're going to destabilize and overthrow. Like, we've hit them all except for Iran. And we've got John Bolton in Trump's ear. We've got this new guy, William Barr.
Who's like former
he
military
was
industrial companies he worked for.
He was special
like
counsel.
dude.
He was one of the part of the defense team for Oliver North during the Iran-Contra hearings. Like Trump,
Dude,
this is what weirds me out about people who are still stumping for Trump and I know that you don't trust him any further. You can throw him, but he's still got a big fan base, and over the last like year, all of George Bush and George Bush Jr. and Karl Rove's like pet fucking monkeys are slowly getting all of these key positions inside of Trump's administration. And it's like he drained the swamp so far down that the only thing that was left over was fucking George Bush's friends. And he's like, well, fuck it. I guess they're in.
Well, here's the thing, dude. Listen, I do not in any way think that Trump is this golden hat. What you're going to find with these people that want to believe in him, it's not out of, like, okay, some of it, if not a lot of it, is obviously loyal to the R by his name. There are those people. But within the truth community, there are people who are rooting for him because the truth is that there's not a lot more hope after this. If he turns out to be status quo, which is definitely possible, we're all fucked, man. Fucked beyond fucked. And maybe we all are fucked. But when I go to people, I go, what are Obama's biggest accomplishments? What would you say when you look at the Obama years, what would you say the accomplishments are? If we go through them, we go, healthcare that isn't perfect, right? It's not perfect, but it gave people with preconditioned a chance to get healthcare. Gay marriage. He legalized gay marriage, which was basically an overturn of the Clintons' Defense of Marriage Act, which at one time had made it illegal for gays to get married.
Yeah.
He's black. We'll give him black too. That's a good one too. Anything else? I'm not trying to win an argument. I'm here. What are the good things?
Right. So I don't see a lot of those. I see the largest transfer of wealth in at least 100 years, with 95% of all the money created post-recession going to the top 10% of the population. I see illegal wars.
There's a lot of negatives.
I see the expansion of the surveillance state in a way that George Bush couldn't have even dreamed of, and him handing that over to Donald Trump and Mike Pence. Like, here you go, I made this for you. You know, try not to break it. Fuck it, it's worth a lot of money. Illegal wars, fucking, I don't see many highlights out of that, and I see him as a caretaker of the status quo, and this is some fun shit. I briefly wrote for The Nation magazine back in 2008. They have erased everything I have ever done for them because I got fired by Chris Hayes at the time, who was the politics editor of The Nation magazine, for writing an article called Barack Obama, Reagan with a Tan. And this is in 2008,
Black Reagan. I call him Black Jesus all the time because these people think he walks on water.
He came out in debates with Hillary, like quoting Ronald Reagan and saying that Ronald Reagan was like one of his political heroes. Like it was all there, and people just ignored the fuck out of it because they wanted to see, they saw a product. He was marketed great. And it's like people do with Trump. You know, there's people who doesn't matter what fucking Trump says. He shoots somebody and he'd still have fans. His numbers would go up. Obama was the same way. He was such a great product that people just fucking...
For sure, dude. For sure. Again, look at what Trudeau's doing in Canada right now.
Yeah.
He's a good-looking liberal and he's getting away with murder. So we have those three things I talked about with Obama. Let's go with Trump. And listen, dude, tell me when I'm wrong, because I'm not trying to win a debate here. I'm just trying to have a discussion. Okay? North Korea, South Korea, right? Peace there. Peace. What appears to be peace at this moment, right?
Yeah.
Pulling out of Syria. Can we agree on that? That seems to be a good thing.
It does seem to be a good thing, but I do want to get into that a little bit more down the road. But let's go.
Just let me... So we got Syria. We have the pulling back of tariffs, right? The pulling back of the... Dude, I didn't know that other countries were tariffing the fuck out of us.
Yeah. So do you look at the trade war thingy as a net gain so far?
For me, dude, and we can get into that, but
okay.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
I hate free market. I hate free trade. There's nothing free about free trade. It costs jobs. And then finally, this crime bill that, again, going back to the health care thing, it's not perfect, this revised crime bill. But it gets crack on the same level, powdered cocaine, which is powdered cocaine's rich white people drug.
Yeah.
Crack is a poor urban drug, okay? It makes it easier for people to get out. It's just a much better drug. And then the legalization of hemp. So those are 5 things which I can say right now I think are good things, regardless of what you think of Trump in the bigger picture.
Yeah, no,
nobody wants to give this guy any credit for that shit. If you can't tell me what he does right, I don't want to hear about what you think he does wrong. That's just my opinion.
And I understand that, and that's probably more one of the more legitimate arguments if you're looking at it from the perspective of capitalism needs to be destroyed before we can figure any of this shit out. Really, then what you're, from that perspective, what you're doing is you're giving your oppressor some credit for somebody being shamed into doing the right thing, and that's an entirely different fucking conversation. I do think that legalizing hemp is a great fucking call, and I'm looking forward to exploring that a little bit more, just as somebody who has business interests outside of,
I understand that. But would you not agree that those things seem to be somewhat of a step in the right direction?
Yeah, I do. The First Step Act itself looks like it could be a good thing. It also really has the potential of being like No Child Left Behind or fucking what was a Common Core or something like that. And I know it's
gotcha.
The potential for it to be a wrought with fraud and abuse is there, and I don't trust the people who are going to be in charge of implementing it to be honest actors.
I say don't trust anybody. Hope for the best. That's really how you look at all these people. Don't trust one of them. Hope for the best.
Yeah, as a bill, it has potential to be a really good thing, and I want to believe that it will be implemented right.
For sure.
Syria, my God, man, I have been railing against our military being in Syria since we got into Syria. We
have no reason to be there other than a pipeline.
Yeah, I am a genuinely anti-war person, which is why Democrats have hated me for as long as most Republicans have.
Couldn't agree more.
There has been there's been talk and there's been some reports about Eric Prince meeting regularly with Donald Trump, and he's the guy who had Blackwater, who got fucking. He's Betsy DeVos's brother.
Oh God.
And that to me says that there's going to be a huge push for the privatization of the military, and that troop withdrawal in Syria is part of that whole agreement that he's been making with Prince over these last several months, and that is what Afghanistan is about, because there's already a fuck ton of PMCs, private military contractors, in Afghanistan. There's a fuck ton of private military contractors in Iraq, although Trump did just say this morning or yesterday that a new permanent military base in Iraq, and we're not getting out of Iraq. I'm with you in that pulling troops out is a good thing. It is. But when you see somebody do a good thing in politics, especially, and with Trump in general, you've got to ask, like, okay, what's the reason behind the reason? You know, and if it's a push for a privatized,
I'm with you, dude.
And if it's a push for a privatized military, that is disconcerting to me. It is.
I couldn't agree with you more, dude. I couldn't agree with you more. And it just sucks. And I don't know what else to... I mean, maybe we gotta take it to the streets, dude. I mean, like, I don't know. Because our military is the most unique military in the world. We are the stormtroopers of the international bankers. It's been hijacked by dark forces. And at some point, we're going to have to say enough. And that's why I'm pro-gun. Because they're going to want to keep status quo. And we're going to want to not keep status quo. And that day is going to be an interesting day. And
what do you think it'll take to get about 1 million asses out in the street, 2 million asses out in the street?
I think we're getting closer to that. I think...
besides a climate disaster, because that'll definitely do it.
Financial collapse.
Well, I mean, my girlfriend basically has told me that she does not watch CNN anymore, which is a giant step forward, you know? But she does have... She's from that age where it's like you watch the news to get informed. She didn't realize it was a brainwashing stuff. That's the key. We got to get people off the nipple. And then the people like Jimmy Dore and you guys and stuff that out there. I mean, it's going to take time because they have us fighting with each other so much.
Yeah.
We can't focus on coming together. Because if we actually can, I always said this, like, gangbangers in the hood and fucking, rednecks in the fucking trailer park have way more in common than they don't have in common. And if they actually sat down, stop getting mad at symbols and rhetoric and being like all energized to hate, and they actually realize they probably have so much more in common, that they're both just trying to do the best they can in the situation in which they were born into. Some people are born with 2 strikes against them right out of the womb, and it doesn't matter if you're black or white. The real truth is that your intelligence level probably has more to do with where you are in life than anything. And that goes across all color barriers. And if they come together, we could really stop everything. But it's going to take colossal work. I do believe that social media is a giant astroturf. They're astroturfing with blue checks, and people who tweet the things that the power bees they like, they get the blue checks by their names, and they get giant retweets, and it makes it seem like they're saying something important when they're not. They're just it's always been used for this. Art has always been used, but now it's so blatant that's being used by the power elites.
So
blatantly used.
I mean, I want to agree that we're almost there. I do. Like, I want that to happen. I said at the top of the show, heads on pikes and general strikes or nothing fucking changes. I mean that. I do. When I interviewed Tim Canova back in May, who got fucked over in Florida by Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Brenda Sipes.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
There's apparently a law, the Taft-Hadley Act, that like makes general strikes illegal. It's something that I want to look into more, and maybe we can do a whole fucking show about it. But like,
the beauty of making stuff illegal is that it doesn't stop anything.
Oh yeah, I know, it's fucking awesome. When where we're at in California, so like Santa Cruz County is super NPR fucking liberal, right? Like they want you to, they're cop callers. They're the cop calling liberals, But we're up here in the mountains, where historically, like this town was bars and brothels, Like
good for them.
We have a little
prostitution and drugs are poor people crimes.
There's
no
agreed.
reason why you shouldn't be able to fucking engage in prostitution legally. It is poor people crimes. Rich girls are escorts and sugar daters.
Mm-hmm.
Poor girls are streetwalkers and prostitutes. It's just the fucking truth. It's capitalism at its best. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able. Now, does that mean if I had a daughter, I'd want my daughter to do it? No, but that also doesn't mean it should be illegal either. Okay? There's no reason why we have people on drugs in jail when the people supplying the drugs are the government. It's just ridiculous.
Fuck yeah. I saw a meme yesterday that was a picture of Trump saying the wall will stop the drugs, and then right underneath it was a little cartoon with the CIA's logo over its head saying, "That's where you're wrong, kiddo." Like,
yeah.
But I have a shirt that says CIA, we put the Coke in America, and it's a Coca-Cola looking shirt. Like, I wear that shit to work, homie.
That's a great shirt.
I'll try to get you one. My neighbor's cousin made them. He's not making them anymore, but if there's any left over from that one, I'll get one and I'll fucking send it down.
That shirt. You should make your own shirt and sell it like that. That's a really good one.
Yeah, I agree. I do. I was going fucking somewhere with what you were saying. So there's we just did a show on the yellow vest thing. Our producer lived in France for a while. He had some little inside or firsthand knowledge of the thing. And there's been a couple of different groups trying to co-opt that yellow vest movement over here. There's like a yellow vest group in Canada that's like mostly Proud Boys and fucking like alt-right kind of people. The people that won it here in California were the same jackasses that were trying to put that like 6 Californias bill together. The fucking hedge fund venture vulture capitalist motherfucker. Like,
what a crazy weirdo that dude is.
Isn't he?
I mean, when you get that rich, you just go weird. You just like weird sex and weird business shit. You just get into weird shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's pervasive throughout history. Like, Rome was a fuck show, Problem with Rome was that everyone wants to blame it on all the sex and all that shit, but the truth is Rome spread itself too thin. Yeah.
And it couldn't control anything.
Yeah, it collapsed.
We see it in this country. They want to blame everything on morality. And, like, I saw some asshole on the internet said, society crumbled when we sent mothers to work. It's like, no, this society is crumbling because of greed, dude. Yeah. Greed at every fucking level, whether it's business and free trade, sending the jobs out, the greed of the prison industrial complex, the greed of everything, the greed of the networks who bought all, the greed of the people who bought all the networks and control all the message. It's all greed, man.
Yeah, I agree with that. Here's an interesting thing, though. If you shut down all of the private prisons in America, you would shut down 6% of the prisons in America.
I'm with you on that.
And I think it's a very good thing to do that. I think the whole concept of private prisons is fucked. And it's just, it's insane that it would be a business model.
Well, when you ship in the drugs, and then you pass the laws about the drugs, and then you have the prisons for the druggies, there's a fucking problem there.
Yeah. Yeah. You would think that, like, if we could figure out, or try and determine what you're supposed to say and not say on the internet, then maybe we could handle something like prisons should not profit from the drugs that they let into the country, but you shouldn't get it on both ends. You shouldn't be the pharmaceutical company that sells OxyContin and then gets a fucking patent for the drug that gets you off of OxyContin. Which
I couldn't agree more.
Did you see
I couldn't
that?
agree more.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why isn't there riots in the street about that? All these people whose family are dying from heroin that most likely came from an Oxycontin addiction that they could no longer afford, so they get into heroin. I mean, like, dude, why aren't people going fucking nuts? Why are people marching every day to raise money to cure cancer when we know we have cures for cancer and that people aren't doing it? Why are we just sitting there allowing the things to get manipulated, dude? Even in China, they fucking push back, and even that government goes, okay. They pick and choose what they apply. I don't know, man. I'm always trying to speak the truth without getting suicided, so that's what I try to do.
With you. Absolutely with you. Sarah's mom has a theory. You want to tell your
I'd love to hear Sarah's mom's theory.
Actually, this is I believe I gave this to her. It could be going back and forth though. I really feel that for America, they're gonna have to lose their couches, like everybody. You're gonna have to take their couch away.
I'm not against that, dude.
And get to a place where their kids are a little bit hungry. It just seems like we're way too comfortable.
What we have to do is stop getting people to think people on their level are the problem.
Right.
We gotta stop getting poor white people to think poor Mexican people are fucking taking their jobs. Because they're not. It's boardroom motherfuckers.
You were never gonna be a doctor.
You were never gonna
be. It is. It's the lotto mentality, and that's the problem with the right. The left has giant problems, but the right, it's almost like when you state their problems, everyone's like, duh, yeah. I mean, that's a big reason why I do go off on the left so bad, because I believe that the left is the only. It's like the left makes change. Most of your civil rights stuff came from the left, regardless of whether it was a D or an R, because those flip back and forth. Who's the good guys or the bad guys?
Yeah.
The left makes change, and they got us so fragmented that they won't let us fucking. We're never going to come together.
So.
Go on.
I agree, but this is one of the reason, or one of the questions that I sent you has to deal with this exact fucking thing. When you say, I don't kind of use sometimes, but a lot, the narrative is the left is people like Democrats, like Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer, or even Elizabeth Warren, or fucking or even Bernie Sanders, and like these are all capitalists. These are all people whose personal wealth has increased while they have ostensibly been public servants. These are all people who have an imperialistic foreign policy. These are all people who have not said shit about our surveillance state, and more likely than not voted for it multiple times.
Well, they are also the people who helped set the table of the Kavanaugh hearing to make it a sexual thing about something that may or may not happen, that allowed the right and the left to fucking hide the real issue, which was this guy's fucking view on the police state.
Yep.
When you help author the Patriot Act, which has nothing to do with patriotism, when you help author that, when you're okay with warrantless wiretaps and searches, when you're okay with the government spying on you, that would never fly.
Yeah.
But when you put it as the Me Too thing and these blue checks in this town, and I have friends of mine who I love that were complicit in this, and a couple of them are some Ivy League people, complicit in helping create the narrative of did this guy commit this sexual act or didn't, which consumed that hearing, which was done on purpose by the corporalists on the right and the corporalists on the left, in order that we never really had a discussion about what he was really about. Because that woman could have taken him to court in Maryland forever, and she never did it.
Yeah.
And they don't want to hear that.
Well, they're both deep state as fuck. What's her name? What was her name? Do you remember?
Barbara Boxer? No.
No.
Feinstein.
The woman?
Yeah, the woman. The one who brought the suit, Boyd or something like that. Whatever, dude. Yeah. She's deep state as fuck. So is Kavanaugh. Yeah. Like, their parents or their dads were golfing buddies. They fucking, like, this is shit that that is, like, public record. That, like, I mean, Kavanaugh was like Karl Rove.
1 second, please, sorry. Hey, get in here. Get in here. Get in here now. Hey, get in here now. Get in here. Hey, Maverick, come here. Maverick, get in here.
That's awesome.
Go. Get in here. You're fucking pain in my ass. Let's go. Sometimes daddy's got to be a bad guy.
That's awesome. I don't live in a place right now where we're allowed to have dogs, and I'm continuously bummed about that. But the way that the rental market here is in Santa Cruz County, man, like, we're the 4th most income inequal place in the nation.
I'm with you, dude. I mean, it just sucks. I think they're doing this shit on purpose.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, they're talking about taxing Texas. Texas? I mean, I think they just want us all to move.
Yeah.
And don't even get me started on these fires, dude.
Well, that's some Agenda 21 shit as far as I'm concerned. Like, we've got good friends that aren't where we have good friends that were in Paradise. Like, Paradise is almost like a sister town of Boulder Creek where we are. Like, a lot of people, grew up here and went there, grew up there and went shit like that. But our friend that co-hosts a podcast called Breaking Basic lives up in Mount Shasta area where they were last year. And, like, you can watch the path of the fire go straight through the proposed railway line for our high-speed rail. Like,
oh yeah, dude. And then Dianna Feinstein's husband gets $1 billion contract to build the rail.
Yeah.
I went on a morning radio show and was screaming about it, and everybody was getting mad at me. I was like, dude, don't even look at the fires. Look at the facts. The fact that metal burns at 2,500 degrees, forest fires at the most get to 1,500 degrees. Why is metal melting? Why are bridges melting? Why are houses exploding but the trees around them nothing?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I have a part-time gig at a liquor store to pay for the studio fees for this place right now, right? It's fucking hilarious because I will say the exact same shit that we're talking about right now to people who are waiting in line to hand me money, and the number of people who have voluntarily on their own, who you would never fucking guess, are like, I know that there were direct energy weapons involved in these fires. I know that these are not natural fucking things. And, like, there's a giant Lockheed plant right behind a couple of mountain ridges up.
Oh my God.
Bro, the shit that we see, you'd fucking...
We had something just this week.
Yeah.
Just falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
Iridescent, glowing white smoke in the dark.
Yes,
yes. NASA can find a zit on your face from space, but they can't tell you what this giant thing that fell for like hours with the whole Bay Area watching it.
It's unbelievable, dude.
This week.
I should have you guys on and we should talk all this.
Fuck yes, you should.
Again, dude.
I'm
totally down with that, man.
I couldn't agree with you more.
I like to bring all the tribes together. That's kind of been like a mission of mine, is like get all the tribes. There could be some competitiveness within, just the natural order of mammals. But I think the more we work together, the more we can get the word out. And even though we don't, because within the world of conspiracies, if you don't see the exact same way, some people get really upset. Whereas I'm like, we're going to agree on 99, 95, 90% of the stuff. Why don't we focus on what we agree on instead of what we don't agree on? And I definitely 100% agree. We've had people come to live shows saying they saw people restart fires. And when I talk to people, they're like, oh, they do that to manage the fires. Not when there's a giant forest fire going on and they're surrounded by fucking acres and acres of fires. They don't restart fires to add to the fire. That's only when it's like almost fire season. They say, oh, this land's bad. And why aren't the trees burning? Oh, because they have water in them? You just told me we're going through a drought. So is it a drought or do the trees have water in them? Which one is it? And it's the same thing. Why does a building 7 fall at the rate of gravity when there's pillars there to stop that? Yeah. Why does a bullet go through the president and then take a fucking U-turn and come back through? Why? It doesn't exist. And here we are again trying to explain why this thing doesn't fit physics.
Yeah, but we're crazy for even pointing it out. And I know that's deliberate too. Chris Hedges says that they have us divided on purpose to the point to where they can steal from us in daylight now. Just unfucking pewed. And that's the fucking narrative. That's what we're pushing back against. That's what you're pushing back against. That's why we all have, and I agree with you about the community support thing, man. Like I am I'm a habitual volunteer, right? Like for fucking whatever, dude. You got some fucking
Whatever
kick puppies that need me to fucking, go get help out. Sure, dude. I have a community garden project that I'll be in my second year of coming up, and the end goal of that is to blow it up so big that I need a refrigerator truck to drive it to food desert communities around us and just drop off fucking free food and some fucking revolutionary literature in the goddamn fucking hood, Like this is kind of like where I'm at. Fucking grow
People's
food and buy
kids
bullets.
are gonna be hungry, man. You got bring back the victory gardens.
Yeah, dude. Nobody ever fucking won a revolution on a stomach full of Funyuns. Like that shit don't happen.
I couldn't agree more, dude. That should be a T-shirt, by the way.
I'm working on that shit.
Coming out with great T-shirts. No one's won a revolution on a stomach full of Funyuns. That's called straight fucking the shit, dog.
But it's in the works, man. Thank you.
Let's get into these questions you sent me, dude.
Well, I've been working through them here and there, dude. I have I've been reading off and bringing up questions as we've gone. You just didn't notice because it was smooth.
I mean, I saw there were some Mueller questions.
So yeah, dude, I do. I want to know what you think the state of that whole thing is. Like, where is it gonna land? Because I don't know if you watched Aaron Matei and Jimmy Dore have a conversation about it. And if you haven't, it's definitely worth checking out. It was
what's going on right now is they are trying their hardest to to shift focus from what really is going on here, and that is Obama, Hillary, John Brennan, and the FBI wiretap an elected president in an attempt to discredit his victory in an election so that Hillary could be the shadow president and pay back all these favors she had from all the money that the Clinton Foundation took in. Right now, they're in England, Richard Steele, the man who basically created the Steele dossier, dossier, whatever the fuck that word is, okay?
Christopher Steele.
He is testifying right now because he's being sued by Russians who were implicated in that dossier.
Nice.
And they are suing him, and he has testified that whole thing was paid for by Hillary Clinton in order to discredit the victory that Trump had, to allow her to supersede that and to be shadow president of the United States. She and Obama and that whole group owe so many favors. They took in so much money that they didn't think this was going to happen. So what Robert Mueller's doing, which is no different than the arson, what was that in 2001? What was that powder that was sent to?
Anthrax.
Bush? The anthrax scare.
Yeah.
Realize that the anthrax came from a base in Utah, which is the only place in the country that creates that anthrax, and they just basically used it to help add to get the Patriot Act passed. So this whole thing, listen, if you're gonna go to a pig farm, you're gonna find pig shit. So if we're looking for fucking corruption, it's throw a cat in Washington D.C. You're gonna hit corruption.
Yeah. No,
you're gonna hit corruption.
I've been saying the entire time that the collusion thing is bullshit. That if they're going to get Trump on anything, it will be money laundering for fucking anybody with enough cash and compliments since the fucking mid '80s. Like that's just kind of like the you grew up in like New York State. I grew up in the Midwest, but I have a lot of connections to New York. Like the rumor has always kind of been that he was just a fucking 2-bit money launderer with a fucking great real estate scam. Like,
dude, I couldn't agree more. I'm gonna tell you this, man, that Trump, anything you say about Trump, Hillary, Obama, and the Bushes all did in spades.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the problem that they have right now, is that they are attempting to make us think that this guy is the absolute worst when he's just par for the course. So, and the problem that the left is having is when they bring this up, we're like, well, it's been going on for the last 8 years before that as well.
Yeah.
So you're falling on deaf ears. The biggest thing that I'm trying to do is get the left to abandon the DNC and start their own group, which is going to be a colossal, if not impossible, task.
It really it is. I co-founded a fucking political party in like 2016 on accident. It was like in a blackout. I'm not even fucking kidding. I quit drinking since then. But like in a drunken stupor, I accidentally co-founded a political party that now has like 75,000 people that are members of it. We would like seriously in front of that whole movement for a People's Party thing that I don't know if you know who Nick Brana is or seen him on Jimmy's show, but like the Progressive Independent Party was what we came up with, and when Tim Canova was running this year, he ran as a Progressive Independent. Was one of the reasons.
Amazing. That's real life. That's real world results, and you should be proud of that.
But it's like trying to get. Thank you, I appreciate it. Trying to get progressives together, like the actual left, not the Nancy we're capitalists and that's that Pelosi left, but like the actual legitimate fucking left. It's like trying to herd feral kittens on meth. Like it's a fucking, it's an ugly fucking scene, and everybody wants their cause to.
Generally, anybody on meth. Good luck. I don't care if they're feral kittens. They're people. They're all on meth. I mean, Hitler invented meth. So, I mean, the Japanese did, and then they shot Hitler up with it all day.
You know, who fucking that'll get you some hate.
I don't know what the answer is on that, but I feel that like I don't hate any group. I don't hate any group either. I hate hypocrisy. I think hypocrisy needs to be dealt with publicly. Whatever you're a hypocrite about, you should have to pay for that in a public forum. Like, if you're anti-gay, you should have to fucking do gay shit in the middle of the fucking Rose Bowl. You know, like, I think you should, like, that's my opinion on
what level of gay shit though, man? Do you mean like full on penetration, or do you mean like
should die, or gay people should be illegal, and all this anti-gay rhetoric that we've seen out of the right and politicians? If you get busted sucking off truckers at truck stops, you should have to do that in the middle on the 50-yard line of the fucking Rose Bowl on a live fucking pay-per-view.
That is some Black Mirror fucking shit. That's awesome. I was gonna say, like, if you just made somebody make some like really creative deviled eggs, that would be different. I guess does it like depend on the level of bigot, you know?
Yeah, I guess so, man.
Wait.
I mean, if you're like, I just not in the gays, and then you just take it as butt, I'll let it go. But if you're passing legislation and you're trying to, like, wishing them death and destruction and generally trying to make people's life miserable, then I think you should have to have a train ran on you.
Beautiful.
Fucking awesome. Yeah. Let's oh yeah, so what impact do you think that Mueller investigation is going to have on the 2020? How much of a shit show in general do you think 2020 is going to be? But like, what do you think the impact of the Mueller investigation? Because I believe they're going to come out and say they can't prove direct collusion, and no, in fact, Vladimir Putin did not orchestrate a takeover of our freedom and democracy because he fucking had some people make some Bernie Sanders in a fucking thong.
If they had anything, it would have came out in the midterms, because the midterms they were going for to get enough people to impeach him. And here's the whole thing: you and I are saying, could this guy be status quo? If he's status quo, why are they trying so hard to win the midterms? It's just like.
I mean, you could argue that that's because that's what political parties do, is try to gain control of the House or Senate in a midterm.
There's something going on that's a little bit more than this.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do.
The fight between him and the intelligence community, to me, is 100% real. 100% real.
Yeah.
I listen. You ask about Q and is Q legit? If Q and this whole thing with Trump is 100% fake, it is the worst psyop in the history of psyops, because it's literally exposed the inner workings of all this bullshit that they've been doing to us. I don't understand, unless the end game is complete and utter totalitarianism by 2020, not just like a little bit, but full on military on the streets, locking down your phone, cutting off your. I mean, right to that, because right now nobody watches the media, nobody at all. Okay, nobody trusts. Facebook is dying. Facebook is dying. Twitter is dying. These are their mechanisms of control. Dying. There's no trust in the CIA. There's no trust in the FBI. You've had leader after leader of these organizations step down or quit, lose their clearances. I mean, it has to be the worst psyop ever. I try to think, what is the long game? What's the long game if you're just exposing your ability to control the masses?
So,
like the pedophilia shit, that's their currency, man. Why would they expose that if it's their currency to control people?
I got a couple of different ideas on that, actually. Like, I've always thought that Q was the same basic psyop that Anonymous was, like the OG Anonymous, where what you're doing is confirming suspicions that people have had for a number of years with accurate to semi-accurate information, leaving enough open to the imagination or interpretation for even the smartest people to draw their own conclusions. And what you do with that is twofold. You can catch hacktivists that have previously been causing you problems by getting them to join your community, your anonymous community, your Q community. You can monitor them and you can keep them under control. And then you've got people who are just fed the fuck up and like ready to bubble, just ready to fucking go. And you string them along on this hope of this day, this will drop, this will drop. We've got 51,000 indictments when in fact, like, not 51,000 people have been brought, like, it's, there's, and I will, my biggest problem with
that. And explain to me why would they expose pedophilia to the level that they are? I mean, you are looking at fucking complete and utter, like, a giant movement that is not going to stop, and it is the currency in which they control everybody.
I understand
That's
that.
my
I
whole
do.
thing.
This goes back to what Chris Hedges says, though, about them having us so divided that they can do whatever the fuck they want right out in the open. Like, if it's really that dark, homie, if it goes that fucking deep, then sacrifices must be fucking made. And if you, you've got to fucking pour some of your own blood on that pyre. And if they're allowed to do whatever the fuck they want in broad daylight because we're so fucking distracted, then why don't they go ahead and fucking make public who their sacrifices are? I mean, we've seen this in fucking hip-hop, and we've seen this in fucking pop music. Like, this isn't, or fucking rock and roll. We have seen very public blood sacrifices in the entertainment sphere. Why not the fucking political sphere while you're at it? You get rid of a handful of people you don't like.
I couldn't agree more. I think, though, I really do believe that the death of rappers, because everybody thinks rappers live by the sword, die by the sword. But when you start getting into children being kidnapped, killed, and sacrificed, and when the evidence is going to come out, man, it's going to come out. It's still coming. The fact that, they've tried to destroy this Anthony Weiner laptop idea for fucking ever, to the point major fucking people I know have called me up going, dude, it's just him getting teenage girls to send him naked pics. I go, this guy was going to be president. You don't throw that guy in jail for naked pics of just girls. It is when the NYPD says what they saw on that computer made them cry, there's a much darker game going on. And what's going on is that these people can't come to grips with it, and it's a resistance. And maybe I'm sounding like a really fucking just hopeful idiot. Maybe. And I'll accept that. Because I'd rather be a hopeful idiot than sit there and think that I can't do anything about this. I will scream to the top of my lungs until there's a fucking full-on investigation. When the LA Sheriff badge has pedophile symbols in it, you realize what you're up against. When you see that the Awan brothers went on trial for work they did with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and her brother was the prosecutor, you realize the level of corruption. But this has never been expressed before. We are literally in the 2 years into the beginning of this matrix, and maybe I'm just hopeful and a hopeful idiot, but I'd rather be that than accept the status quo. So maybe at the end of the day, nothing happens, but it won't be for lack of trying, I'll tell you that.
That's fucking solid. That is. That's a beautiful fucking sentiment, man.
When Q calls out Israel, why would they fucking do that? It just makes no sense, man. It just it goes against everything that they're fucking doing. I get what you're saying. It's like, just give them enough the rally, and you see these with these false flags. They purposely give stuff to get us to fight with each other. But when you look at the big picture, their complete utter mechanism has been exposed, and every day more and more people leave watching the news and they're freaking out. Why do you think fucking Rachel Maddow is trying to do a podcast? Because they're trying to figure out how to make this happen. Why is the fucking Pod Save America, they're acting like, what they say, like 350 million people have listened?
Yeah.
Get out of here, dude. Nobody is you're trying to say you're bigger than fucking the Rogan podcast? Get the fuck out of here, man.
Right.
It just doesn't make any sense. They're trying their hardest. Maybe you're right, and I just don't. Maybe I'm being an idiot to what I think is the truth. And when I go to people and they deny what I'm saying, maybe I'm denying what you're saying.
I don't know. I hope you're right.
Me too.
I do.
Me too.
I do. I've been through some shit, man. So I'm cynical, and I try not to be. I really make an effort to at some point in the day really find some shit that I appreciate and to say it out loud and to make sure that people in my life that I communicate that I love them.
Half of the stuff that this man has been through.
But I want to I want you to be right. I really fucking do.
You, dude.
And if,
again, Trust no one. Hope for the best.
Yeah, throw it up the river, see if it comes back in a body bag.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. So, when you see all these kids disappear, bad shit's going down, dude. And that's why I just fight tooth and nail. And the problem is that these people who have children don't want to believe that they live in a world, or they're supporting that there's darknesses out there. But I believe more than ever, something that's, we had Jason Lube on my podcast, and he's all into all into the magic and all that. And he goes, the internet is the first time that the masses get the knowledge of the elites that they kept from us.
Yeah.
So something is going on. Something is going on. I don't know. I hope it's for good. Dude, I hope it's for good. That's all I can say.
We don't have to ask you if the internet is Pandora's box.
Yeah, we had one of our first episodes. We had the host of Rogue Ways, which is a fantastic new podcast, and it's part of the Eyes Open Network, which we are now a part of. The episode was titled as the internet Pandora's box. And really, I mean, when you get right down to it, the opening the floodgates of all of the stored knowledge that we've had, to you're right, the masses, or to the fucking working, the fucking great unwashed, it has there. We're headed to that point. We're headed to the point to where the information that we have access to is either what is going to free us or what is going to be used as the excuse to exterminate a lot of us, and there's if we don't lose our couches, if we don't find a way to get out into the street, if we don't find a way to look past the division that we are being fed 100% on purpose by a fucking sociopathic group of fucking billionaire scumbags, like we're gonna be in trouble, man. So like, what, I love your hope. I do. I want that to be.
I'm with you, dude. I get you, but we got to keep the hope, because what's the point of what the fuck we're doing? Now, I'm not saying I'm going to change anybody, but my hope is that the information I get out will lead to some one person realizing something's going on. Some one person will lead to another person. So the hope is all we have, or else we just waste fucking time. I think we fight the fight with knowledge, and we get out there, And I just put out there, and I have these rules of the Ronin, okay? It's each thing, these rules I follow for political, to discuss politics and look at the political world is: one, I'm not part of any group. I do not defend anybody I do not know. I do not defend any actions I am not part of. If I'm not directly part of the decision-making process, I'm not going to pretend like I know what the fuck's going on, and I'm not going to defend that. And I'm not going to give knowledge to those who do not seek it. And number 5 overrides them all, and that's I try to right the wrongs to the best of my ability. So that's kind of how I do. I'm part of no group, dude. I'm a Ronin. I'm lone. I'm by myself. Fuck your side. Not you guys, but in general. Fuck your group. Fuck your group. Fuck your side. No fucking teams. We walk alone, dude. There's little things, and I know earlier I was trying to say the 5 best things that Trump did. But you know what? Those are little things that I hope can make a little better world. I don't know. This guy came in late. He's not like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not going to defend him because I don't know him. But I have hope. I don't trust him as far as I can kick him. But I have hope that it's going to work out.
We're experiencing a little bit of fuckery on the camera end right now, man.
Yay! They're listening.
They are listening.
This happens to us every time.
Not every time, but
straight disappearing. So the last 3 times in a row.
It seems like we've had some guests that we haven't invited on the show. We've definitely been fucked with.
Well, we want to welcome them. Thank you.
Yeah, I did
Thanks for listening. We know that you meant well and somehow you got lost, and that at the end of the day, We're your brothers, we're your sisters, we're your mothers, we're your fathers, we're your sons, and we're your daughters. And you rally against us, you rally against your own. And dude, at the end of the day, when I watch these Terminator movies, man, I don't see any Rothschilds in the Terminator movies. When they come for all. And they come for you, and you're going to make a decision whether it's your paycheck or your fellow man, and that will determine how you're seen in fucking history.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more, man. I just fucking... Most of this episode has been us sitting around agreeing with each other. That's fucking... Actually, I prefer that. I do. I'd rather...
This isn't a debate.
Yeah, we specifically didn't want to have like a debate show where it's just people screaming at each other.
We're not paying for studio time to argue.
Well,
no,
my
man.
fun is,
I'm married. I can do that at home.
Give people a forum to talk and let the listeners decide what they want to believe in, what they don't want to believe in. Conspiracy theorists, which it sounds like you guys are part of the community as well. We are like street dogs. We've taken a beating, and we're fucking very quick to fucking go into defense. So I let people come on, tell their side, unless they get outrageously stupid. I let them tell their side and let the listeners decide whether they believe or not, and they let me know. Trust me, they let me know.
I've been watching your show, I guess, since I learned about your show from your appearance on Jimmy Dore and Tinfoil Hat. And I've been I'm a patron of the show.
I can't thank you enough. I'm trying my hardest.
Dude, your Patreon model is probably my favorite. And like when we were talking about earlier about supporting, the community, like there's a handful of different people who I am a patron of. Jimmy Dore's one of them. Ron Pacone's one of them. Grant Elwood's one of them. Jamarl Thomas. I don't know if you're familiar with this cat or not, but he does political commentary, and it is incredibly good, man. Like he is just his show is called The Progressive Soapbox. He on YouTube. He just does some of the most honest work that I have listened to in terms of recognizing what the narrative is and breaking down why the narrative is bullshit, and then taking an actual critical look at U.S. and UK politics.
He's also real boots on the ground, like frontline in countries where the shit's going down with his girlfriend by his side. I love that
dude, and I'm really all into that shit, and I'm gonna check them out. I just followed them on YouTube, so
awesome.
I'm interested. There's not enough information today. I love it all. I'll consume it all, and anytime I find somebody telling the truth, and listen, when I have someone who's super pro-Trump on my show, they get pounded. If I have someone who's anti-Trump, they get pounded.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the way it is. But I refuse to do an echo chamber show. I'm not going to sit here and have one side or the other. I know if I go hard to the right or hard to the left, my show would be infinitely bigger. But I'm not here to be bigger. I'm here to learn to the best of my ability. Life is not black. It is not white. It is gray, and it's right down the middle, and that's kind of what I'm all about.
Yeah, man. That's a similar approach. What we're trying to do is find like non-governmental solutions to coming together as a community and figuring out how to get past the fucking just this little fucking hellscape that we've been pinned in by these sociopaths. And we know that voting is one act that you do one day every 2 years. And that there's so much more that you can do in the meantime. And that's why it's so important to fucking have independent media in your ear. That's why it's so important to have shows that have on guests that are in the conspiracy community. Because you're, like I said, man, I grew up on Art Bell. Like, that's kind of how I see Tinfoil Hat. In terms of yeah, man, I mean that sincerely. Like you're
thank you. I am the training wheels I am the gateway drug to the guys who go deeper, like Greg Carlwood from Higher Side Chats, and those conspiracy farm guys, or there's some guys who are doing like the Lord's work out there much deeper. I am somebody who takes a lot of pride, and I take it very personal that I am going to ease people into this so that they can go and get the basics and then go out and find the guys who are like deep into it with the technical knowledge, the deeper knowledge that they can consume. Because, you just throw somebody right into some black belt conspiracy shit.
Right.
It's like wrong hole. They're like, wrong hole. It's just like they reject it very quickly.
Drop
So
them right in the middle of
white belt.
Yeah, drop them
belt and then bring them into the black belt shit.
Yeah, you can't just take some random person and hand them like one of Crow's shows.
Yeah,
you know.
You have to go slow, and they have these talks about who's Obama, really what really happened in World War II, what went on in Building 6 and all these stuff that takes a black belt. And when you're a black belt in conspiracies, it's not that you believe anything, it's everything, but you can have a discussion on anything without your mind exploding and running around like the sky is falling. You can have a legitimate talk. Like when people say to me, Michelle Obama is a man, and I go, well, why are all these pictures of her as a little girl on the internet? And you're like, you're talking crazy, man, and you're making us look bad when you put out dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
So I can have a conversation, even though I'm screaming right now, I can have a conversation that is a conversation without my head exploding. I don't believe in all the conspiracies.
Right.
I believe in one that there's some truth. And what I do is I take history to the best of my knowledge, and I take that history and I put who gets money, who gets the power. If that all lines up, you're probably onto something.
Yep. See, that makes the kind of sense that will make sure you never get on network television to be able to say that in front of CNN's audience or him Rachel.
A long time ago, I said to myself, I don't want to be an actor. I don't like acting. I don't look like a stereotype. Therefore, casting directors don't know where to plug me in. We don't know what to do with you. What they're saying is, you don't look like a stereotype that we can just put in. Everybody instantly knows who you are because we're lazy fucks in this town, okay? So I knew that. But what I like to do is talk. I talk to myself all day. I've never written a joke. I always just talk it out in my head. I have a very loud voice. That's why I got into drugs, was to quiet the voice inside my head until I could understand how to harness it instead of trying to mute it. So I just talk to myself all day. So I can either just talk to myself, or I can put a microphone and camera in front of me and just start putting this out to the masses.
Now I have a show.
And have a show and have a career from it. And, Tinfoil Hat is the 4th show on that feed. The original show was The Naughty Show, which is myself, Gareth Reynolds from The Dollop, and another friend of mine. And that show was the funniest show I've ever did in my life. And nobody watched it. And because I didn't realize what podcasting is. And podcasting is the new book. They're new books. People can't read books while they're at work now. They're working more than they ever have. So they need to listen to people help them understand the world around them. And that's why Tinfoil Hat has resonated. It's the NWA of titles. It's niggas with attitude. It's Tinfoil Hat. So it's like, you want to mock us? Well, you can't, because we own the name. We own the word. The word means nothing. We've taken the power of you mocking us by saying we got Tinfoil Hat and literally owning the word. So people know that when they come on there, I do my best to give the best information I can. I'm human. I will fail. There will be mistakes made. I will own those mistakes. But just know what I'm talking about, to my best of belief, is what I think is going on.
That's awesome, man. You do honest work, you do sincere work, you spit fucking like real truth in a world that's just dominated by shit, and we appreciate the hell out of it.
Pushes the shit. That's what people don't understand. I get so much shit from people about a couple other comics who are in this, and they all ran away and moved to another city. I'm in the middle of the muck, bro. You know? My best friends are the ones people talk about all the time. So it's like, I'm in the muck. I'm in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying my best to spread the word and do the Lord's work, you know? But it's like, we'll see, dude. We'll see, man.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap up here real quick. I have one last question, just kind of because I'm a fan of the show. 150 some episodes in. What's been your personal favorite revelation? Like, not necessarily how the audience received a show or anything like that, but what's something that just really sticks out in your mind that it's the bell that can't be unrung?
Well, I don't think it's one thing. It's really that the killer is within. It's almost that movie where the babysitter is babysitting the kids, and people keep calling, "Did you check on the children? Did you check on the children?" And the cops go, "He's in the house." And then when you realize that this dark group of people are behind almost everything, it's a much safer world to me that brown people don't hate our freedoms, and that gays aren't trying to turn us all gay, and that all this stuff's going on, that there's a small, concentrated group of greedy, evil fucks that run everything. To me, that's been a giant relief, because I don't have to worry that this group wants to kill me because of who I am, when I realize it's this group trying to make his money and control. And it's to me, it means the world's a much safer place, even though there are places that are going through hell right now, and I fight tooth and nail to get the word out, to help spread the word about Yemen and Syria and all that stuff, because I don't want fucking that stuff done in the name of my tax dollars.
Right.
And now that I know that those people are out there, I love it. There's so much that I've learned. UFOs, about Jesus, about whether you believe in Jesus or not, about just the dark arts, all this shit. People always go, "How do you sleep at night?" I go, "Like a baby."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like a baby.
Definitely.
Because I know what's, to my best ability, I know there's a group out there. I might not know the exact person. It could be the international bankers. It could be the Jesuits. It could be Luciferians. It could be the royal family. It could be whatever. But they're not everybody. And that on a basic level, we're all, humanity is love. And if we just love each other and realize we are not each other's fucking enemy, but these powerful, dude, hey, whether you believe in Jesus or not, and I'm not a religious man at all, who got Jesus killed? Wasn't the Romans? They killed him, but who got him killed?
Bankers,
the fucking bankers.
Right? Yeah.
And when you look at the fucking bankers, because they were charging interest, you look at all the fucking problems in the world with interest, whether it's the Fed, the WB, or the IMF, and how they just rape people over interest. When you realize it's like, fuck, there's a common theme, and it's not Jews, and it's not Muslims, it's not Christians, it's just dark arts motherfuckers who use these religions as masks to walk amongst us.
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah. I mean, we're kind of operating from that standpoint every time we come in to do a show. Like, we're, as aware as we can be, and trying to put out, and just have interactions with people in general that are more honest, because the propaganda is not influencing what we're saying. But
yeah.
It's really refreshing just to be around people of a like mind, because, like you were saying at the beginning of the show, 20 years ago, what did you say, going under the fence or something, ready to run under the fence? Just a really lonely place to be. I've heard a lot of, I don't want to think about it.
Why,
Bitch, you have 3 kids. You should be thinking about these things.
That's why.
Well, yeah, it does keep us kind of against the grindstone on a tread of mediocrity. I spotted that design way ahead of the curve. And
what you guys are doing with your show is so magical.
oh wow.
And it's right?
Thank
it's magical
you.
what you're doing.
Thank you,
You
Sam.
are the freedom fighters. When you hear about all these guys that fucking fought against power, that's what you guys are doing. You're risking it. You're risking your sanity. You're risking your fucking where you're seen in the community. You're risking friendships. I've had people put hands on me. I've had people call me crazy people. I've done all that shit. And all I'm trying to do is go look into it.
Yeah.
Look into it. When they demonize you, demonize me, demonize YouTube guys, but yet they listen to Rachel Meadows, who makes $8 million a year. She could not make that money anywhere else. There's nowhere else that she could make $8 million a year doing what she's doing.
Yeah. No,
And
you're
it's
absolutely.
sad. You guys are on the front line. That's what you guys do. And every day you pop another person's skull. You pop minds like champagne bottles.
Aw.
That's what we said.
From your lips
And
to Jesus'
that's
ears
what we're
there.
here to do.
And Steve actually does have, 3 sons. And,
Yeah.
And I'm kind of in it with him and for them. What kind of world do you want to see, our kids growing up in? And I feel like a lot is put on their shoulders, man. Do you want to come out and go, oh, yeah, fucking clean this shit
Listen.
up? No, thanks.
These people in this town should have woken the fuck up when their neighbors, who are movie producers, directors, agents, when their houses got fucking torched for a fucking railway.
Yep.
That's when it's real life implications.
Holy
when you
shit.
got a $3 million house and they're only going to pay you $400,000 for it, those are real life implications that you can't ignore anymore.
Thank you.
Yep.
They don't. Your job producing Transformer movies does not mean anything to the billionaires who are trying to be trillionaires. They flew planes into buildings with some of the greatest fucking financial minds ever, and they killed them. There are people who worked in those buildings who didn't show up that day, that told nobody what was going on. There are comics fathers who worked there, that died there, when other comics fathers didn't show up that day.
Yeah.
These are real life implications.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. we fuck. Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Whether or not you believe in that climate change is a real thing, or you believe that like climate change is happening, but it's a result of geoengineering or direct energy or whatever, that's man-made climate change. Geoengineering is man-made climate change.
For
100.
sure.
And
sure.
if any of the reports coming out are right about this, you have 12 years to get your shit together. I know that they say that over and over and over. It looks bad sitting here in California where we don't have fucking fire season anymore. We've just got a year. Like it's weird for us because we're in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Our shit slides out. We have.
Well, it is man-made. You're right. Chemtrails.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a giant. Now we got 5G. Now they're gonna be able to light the sky
Jesus
on
Christ.
fire.
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking.
So it is man-made. So
Did
you're
you-
right. Well put. These fucking people don't want to believe in climate change because of Al Gore. Yes, dude. The fucking Red Cross is basically the Rothschilds. Rothschild in German means red shield. Red shield, Red Cross, same fucking thing. They own it all, right? But it is man-made. It's fucking chemtrails, dude. It's all real. Drought, there is drought. These people want to be like, oh, he's bringing up climate change. It's a rich man's game. Fuck yeah, but it's still happening. Happening.
I feel like it's something that needs to be addressed, and I feel like the only way to do that is to fucking have shows like yours, have shows like this one, have shows like fucking, like Graham Elwood will go a little bit deeper in the paint on some what is considered conspiracy, like more so than Jimmy Dore, fucking even like Tim Black or those guys.
I mean, but the problem I have, I love both of them, and Abby Martin's like this, and her brother's like this. I love them as human beings. I think they're such one, and they're doing the Lord's work. But there comes a certain point where they they back off.
Yeah.
And it's because they believe completely in the conspiracy of political corruption. They believe completely in the conspiracy of media manipulation. But when you apply that to, which is all basically controlling power.
Yeah.
It's all about power and greed. But when you apply that to what's the space program about? What is Pedogate about? They all back off because they know that those enter into a world where you get called crazy. But it's the exact same people doing the exact same thing that you are so sure is like when I showed Jimmy all the footage of the Parkland shooting, where I showed him 2 interviews of 2 separate people talking about how they saw cops in body armor with a weird ass gun shooting everybody. 2 separate interviews, and then I got a video of 4 cops coming out of the back of the school with giant duffel bags, which most likely have the body armor in them, throwing them in the back of the truck that takes off. But when I show them that, they can't go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're telling me that Iraq was done under false flags, why can't you believe this can't happen on a micro level? If it's happening on a macro level, why can't it happen on a micro level?
Yeah. No,
and I'm not yelling at them because I hate them. I love them with all my heart. The work that they're doing, God bless that. I'd rather have that than nothing. But it's like, open your mind, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, at some point, like, it's getting there. I feel like it's all building towards that. Like, this next year, I think, is just going to be super fucking crazy. And, like, part of me can't wait because it's going to be fun as fuck to, like, be in the thick of, but part of me knows how messy that soup is and what it's going to look like. And, but man, I'm looking forward to the weird. I really am. Hey,
do you guys do any intros before this added on at all?
Yeah.
Because if you guys can just shout out some of my dates that are coming up, because I'm going to be in New Jersey at the, where is it, TIFF's at White Plains. I just want to get that out so that people want to see me. I'm headlining a comedy club at TIFF's Chuckle Hut. Yes, I'm playing a Chuckle Hut.
That's fucking great.
Yeah. Story of my life.
Chuckle Hut.
White Plains. You can get all my dates at samtripoli.com.
Okay. All right.
All right, dog?
Yeah, man. And fuck, Sam. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
It's a real
Anytime,
honor.
all the time, dude.
And,
I'd love to have you guys on my show very soon. We just did a direct energy weapons, but a little down the line, we'll figure out a topic you guys can boss on, and I'll get you guys on it.
That would be fucking awesome. Let's stay in touch for that. And we might even be able to come down to LA for that if it's far enough out to where we can plan it.
I'd love that.
Just we're in we're in Santa Cruz. It's 5.5, 4 hours away, something like that.
I haven't played Santa Cruz in forever, man.
Dude, Lee Camp just played here and he fucking killed it. We went and
Lee Camp's wonderful.
We went and hung out with him for that. Yeah.
Believes in all the conspiracies of politics, but won't go deep on a couple other things, and I get it. It's fine. I think he's doing the Lord's work, but I wish they'd look into this shit.
All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap, man. The specials are Armageddon and Zero Fucks on Vimeo. January 19th, White Plains, New Jersey, TIFF's Chuckle Hut. Fucking listen to Tinfoil Hat and Sam's other podcast, Punch Drunk Sports. Man, it's been a blast talking to you.
My friend RG, thank you guys very much. I really appreciate the kindness that you guys would spend any time with this old man talking about trying to make the world a better place.
Really an honor and a pleasure, Sam. Thank you.
All right,
Till next time, we'll do it again soon.
Absolutely.
Happy New Year, guys. Happy holiday and Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.
All right, cheers, brother.